So for any of you younger guys out there, I'm going to fill you in on a little something, kind of a look into the future. And that is, the older you get, the colder you get.
For years, Outdoors with the Morgans felt like one of those rare YouTube channels that never slowed down. Every upload brought viewers back to the woods, the workshop, and the quiet rhythm of rural life. Then something changed. Fans started noticing gaps between videos. Comment sections filled with the same question over and over. What really happened to the Morgans? Some viewers worried the family had stepped away for good. Others believed there was a deeper story no one was talking about. The silence only made the mystery louder. When a channel becomes part of people's routine, even small shifts feel huge. And in this case, the change sparked rumors, theories, and a wave of speculation that spread far beyond their usual audience. But the truth behind the slowdown isn't what most people expect. And once you see the full picture, the story becomes far more interesting than the rumors. The question didn't explode overnight. It crept in slowly. At first, longtime viewers just noticed the uploads weren't as frequent. A channel that once felt like clockwork suddenly had gaps. Days turned into weeks, and the comment section shifted from project advice and friendly jokes to quiet concern. People weren't just asking about videos anymore. They were asking about the family. When a creator invites millions into their daily life, even a small change feels personal. And that's exactly what happened here. What made the shift more noticeable was how consistent the Morgans had always been. Their channel wasn't built on flashy edits or viral stunts. It was steady, predictable, comforting. Viewers tuned in for routine, cutting wood, fixing equipment, tending animals, building something with their hands. It felt real. So when that rhythm broke, fans didn't treat it like normal YouTube burnout. They treated it like a mystery. Some assumed health problems, others whispered about behind-the-scenes drama. A few even speculated the family had quietly decided to walk away for good. The truth is, silence online creates a vacuum, and rumors rush in to fill it. The Morgans weren't posting explanations every week. They weren't addressing every comment. And that absence of information only amplified the curiosity. People started rewatching older videos, trying to spot clues that might have been there all along. Every pause, every offhand remark suddenly looked suspicious in hindsight. But what viewers didn't realize at the time was that the slowdown wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of a transition no one saw coming. And what followed would reshape how fans saw the channel entirely. To understand why the change hit so hard, you have to look at how the Morgans built their world online in the first place. From the beginning, the channel never felt like polished entertainment. It felt like an open door. Viewers weren't watching actors or influencers. They were watching a family living their real life, one project at a time. Mike's steady, hands-on approach and Melissa's presence gave the channel a grounded, almost neighborly energy. People didn't just subscribe for builds and tractors. They stayed because it felt honest. The setting played a huge role too. Their rural property became a character of its own. Every shed repair, every stretch of land cleared, every animal wandering into frame added to a sense of continuity. Regular viewers could track the seasons through the channel. Winter firewood stacks turned into spring mud, then summer projects, then fall prep. It created a rhythm that mirrored real life, and that consistency built deep loyalty. Many fans watching the Morgans became part of their daily routine, like checking in with friends. That connection is what made the slowdown feel bigger than it actually was. When uploads paused, it wasn't just missing content, it felt like losing a familiar presence. The audience had grown alongside the channel. They'd seen equipment upgrades, property changes, even subtle shifts in family dynamics. Over time, the Morgans weren't just creators anymore. They were part of people's lives, and when viewers feel that level of closeness, any silence becomes louder than words. But the bond they built with their audience also explains why the next phase of the story sparked even stronger reactions. And not all of them were supportive. As the gaps between uploads stretched longer, the tone of the audience began to change. At first it was concern, but concern slowly turned into investigation. Fans started comparing dates, pointing out patterns, and dissecting every new upload like it carried hidden meaning. A normal project video suddenly felt loaded with subtext. If Mike sounded tired, people noticed. If Melissa wasn't on camera, viewers asked why. Nothing dramatic had actually been said, but the community had entered full detective mode. What fueled the speculation even more was the rise of side conversations happening outside the channel. Forums, reaction pages, and comment threads built their own narratives. Some viewers insisted the family must be dealing with private struggles. Others argued it was simple burnout from years of non-stop filming. A few went further, suggesting disagreements behind the scenes. None of it came from confirmed sources. It was a puzzle built entirely from silence, and once theories start circulating online, they gain momentum fast. The Morgans, meanwhile, weren't feeding the rumors. They kept their usual style. Post when there's a project worth sharing, stay quiet when there isn't. But in the world of constant uploads and algorithm pressure, that approach looked unusual. To an audience trained to expect daily content, normal life pacing felt like disappearance. Ironically, the lack of drama became the drama. The quieter the channel got, the louder the speculation grew. And just when viewers thought the mystery couldn't get any deeper, a subtle shift in their content direction hinted that something new was forming behind the scenes. And it wasn't what anyone predicted. The turning point wasn't a dramatic announcement or a goodbye video. It was quieter than that. Sharp-eyed viewers began noticing that when the Morgans did upload, the tone felt different. The projects were still there, but the pacing had changed. Videos felt more selective, more intentional, almost like the channel had shifted from routine documentation to highlight moments. For longtime fans, this raised a new question. Was the channel evolving on purpose? Around the same time, attention started drifting toward Melissa's growing presence in separate content. Her side projects and appearances hinted that the family's creative energy wasn't disappearing. It was splitting. Instead of one constant stream, their work was branching into different directions. Some viewers welcomed it as growth. Others saw it as a sign the original formula was fading. When audiences fall in love with a format, even healthy change can feel like loss. What stood out most was how normal the shift actually looked when viewed outside the YouTube bubble. Years of filming daily life can quietly reshape a household. Cameras change routines. Editing takes hours. Privacy gets thinner. The Morgans never framed it as a crisis, but the sign suggested a family recalibrating how much of their life they wanted online. That kind of adjustment doesn't come with dramatic headlines. It happens gradually, behind closed doors. Yet online, gradual change rarely stays quiet. The audience sensed a new chapter forming, and uncertainty filled the gap between uploads. Some feared the channel was winding down. Others believed this was just a reset before something bigger. And in a way, both sides were partly right, because what came next wasn't an ending, but a redefinition that caught even loyal fans off guard. What most viewers eventually missed in the noise is that the Morgans never actually vanished. While speculation painted a picture of disappearance, the channel was still alive, just operating on a different rhythm. New uploads continued to appear, and each one quietly confirmed the same thing. The projects hadn't stopped, the property was still growing, and the family was still living the life people first subscribed to watch. The difference wasn't absence, it was scale. Instead of chasing constant output, the content began to feel grounded again. Videos focused on meaningful builds, seasonal work, and updates that reflected real progress rather than filler. For creators who had spent years feeding an algorithm, that shift looked intentional. It suggested a decision to prioritize sustainability over speed. And for a family-centered channel, that choice carries weight. You can't film every moment forever without something eventually giving. Some fans slowly came to appreciate the new pace. The comment section shifted again, this time from panic to relief. Viewers realized the Morgans weren't stepping away. They were setting boundaries. In a space where burnout quietly ends countless channels, choosing longevity over volume is almost rebellious. It's a reminder that behind every upload is a real household balancing work, privacy, and life off camera. Ironically, the calmer schedule made each video feel more important. When a new upload dropped, it wasn't background noise, it was an event. And that renewed sense of anticipation reshaped the relationship between the Morgans and their audience. But it also raised a bigger question about the future of creator life that few viewers were ready to confront. The bigger story hiding underneath all of this isn't just about one channel. It's about what happens when internet fame collides with real life. The Morgans accidentally became a case study in something many creators never talk about openly. Audiences grow attached to consistency, but creators grow older, busier and more protective of their time. The longer a channel runs, the harder it becomes to separate content from personal life. And at some point, every long-term creator faces the same crossroads: keep feeding the machine or redesign the balance. For the Morgans, the answer seems to have been quiet evolution rather than a dramatic exit. They didn't disappear. They didn't post a farewell speech. They simply adjusted the pace and let the audience catch up. That decision might look small on the surface, but in a platform built on constant visibility, stepping back is one of the boldest moves a creator can make. It risks views, it risks momentum, but it protects something more important. That's sustainability. What makes their situation fascinating is how it exposed a hidden tension in viewer culture. Fans say they support creators as people, yet panic the moment output slows. The reaction to the Morgans revealed how deeply audiences rely on routine content without realizing it. When that routine breaks, it forces everyone to confront an uncomfortable truth. Creators aren't channels, they're families with limits, and in the end, that realization reframes the entire mystery. The story was never about disappearance, it was about adaptation. The Morgans didn't walk away from their audience, they rewrote the rules of how they show up. And that quiet rewrite might be the real future of long-running YouTube channels. Looking back now, the mystery that once surrounded the Morgans feels almost surreal. What started as whispers of disappearance has settled into something much simpler, a channel that chose longevity over pressure. And yet the emotional reaction from viewers revealed how rare that choice actually is. Most internet stories end in burnout, drama, or a sudden vanishing act. The Morgans did something quieter and arguably harder. They stayed, but on their own terms. That decision reshaped how fans interact with the channel today. New uploads carry a different energy. Viewers aren't just watching projects anymore, they're watching a family that proved it could slow down without collapsing. There's a subtle respect in the comment sections now, a recognition that boundaries exist. The panic has faded, replaced by patience. Ironically, the fear of losing the channel made the audience appreciate it more once they realized it was never truly gone. What makes this story stick is how relatable it is beyond YouTube. It mirrors a universal tension, the pressure to constantly produce versus the need to protect real life. The Morgans didn't stage a comeback or manufacture drama to regain attention. Their evolution was understated, almost invisible unless you were paying close attention. And that's what makes it powerful. In the end, nothing happened in the dramatic sense people expected. No scandal, no collapse, just a family adjusting to the weight of long-term visibility. And maybe that's the real twist. The internet was waiting for a shocking ending, but the truth was a quiet human decision to keep going differently. And somehow, that's the part nobody saw coming. Looking back now, the mystery that once surrounded the Morgans feels almost surreal. What started as whispers of disappearance has settled into something much simpler. A channel that chose longevity over pressure. And yet the emotional reaction from viewers revealed how rare that choice actually is. Most internet stories end in burnout, drama, or a sudden vanishing act. The Morgans did something quieter and arguably harder. They stayed, but on their own terms. That decision reshaped how fans interact with the channel today. New uploads carry a different energy. Viewers aren't just watching projects anymore. They're watching a family that proved it could slow down without collapsing. There's a subtle respect in the comment sections now, a recognition that boundaries exist. The panic has faded, replaced by patience. Ironically, the fear of losing the channel made the audience appreciate it more once they realized it was never truly gone. What makes this story stick is how relatable it is beyond YouTube. It mirrors a universal tension, the pressure to constantly produce versus the need to protect real life. The Morgans didn't stage a comeback or manufacture drama to regain attention. Their evolution was understated, almost invisible unless you were paying close attention. And that's what makes it powerful. In the end, nothing happened in the dramatic sense people expected. No scandal, no collapse, just a family adjusting to the weight of long-term visibility. And maybe that's the real twist. The internet was waiting for a shocking ending, but the truth was a quiet human decision to keep going differently. And somehow, that's the part nobody saw coming. So when people ask what really happened to Outdoors with the Morgans, the answer isn't a scandal or a secret meltdown. It's something far less dramatic and passant som an borden sidentens nästan and far more human. A family that spent years sharing their lives reached a point where pace mattered more than pressure. Instead of chasing the algorithm, they chose control. Instead of disappearing, they redefined how they show up. And in a platform obsessed with non-stop output, that choice felt shocking simply because it's so rare. The mystery only existed because viewers were used to constant access. When that access slowed, imagination filled the gap. But time revealed the truth. The Morgans didn't fall apart. They stabilized. They proved a channel can evolve without ending, and that growth doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it looks like fewer uploads, stronger boundaries, and a quieter presence that still carries the same heart. In a strange way, their story isn't about absence at all. It's about endurance. It shows what happens when creators treat their work as a marathon instead of a sprint. And maybe that's why the channel still resonates. The tractors still run. The projects still rise. Life keeps moving. The Morgans didn't vanish. They simply chose a rhythm they could live with. And that decision might be the real reason they're still here.